everybody. Welcome back to Mama Bear's Instapot cooking and adventures. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. I like to share with you things that are some of my favorite recipes, like I did the cheese ball for the holiday. This one getting ready for game time this weekend. I hope it'll be something you'll like. I think everybody likes nachos, tacos, burritos. At least everybody I know does. So I'm going to show you how to make a base recipe. With this recipe, you'll be able to use it on corn chips, tortilla chips. You'll be able to make tacos out of it. You'll be able to fold it up into burrito shells and use it that way. On top of using just this base recipe, you can use your accompaniments like shredded lettuce, tomatoes, extra cheese, sour cream, avocados, and the list goes on. So with that in mind, let's get started today. I did go ahead and I warmed up, well, let me start over there. I went ahead, because I am so limited on space that the camera will pick up, I put spray in the bottom of my baking dish. You can see the size of it there. It's not a real big one. So that'll be the ingredients that I'll be giving you. Let's say if I had to look at that, I'd say it's about a 9 by 6. If you want to make it for a large group, or a larger pan, by the time you work with it a little bit, you'll be able to know just double your recipes. If you only want a little small one, cut some of this in half. Just go ahead like you would when you're normally cooking and make what works for your family. So I sprayed this with some canola oil. You can use any kind that you have. You can even take a little oil and just grease your dish with it, just as long as it don't stick, because we're going to be putting cheese and stuff on top of here. You don't want to deal with that sticky mess. This that you see in the bottom is good old refried beans, and once again, any brand will do. I used 1 can for this size dish. Spread it out nice and even. If you happen to like thicker beans, more beans in the recipe, go ahead, use 2 cans. Nothing says you can't. It'll work just fine. I went ahead and I ground my ground beef. When I was browning it, I drained off all of the fat, and on this, once again, I cheat. I don't like to hand you a list of ingredients like this. You can use these, it's just fine. This is taco seasoning mix. Do not follow the directions on here for this recipe. It says to normally like put it in your ground beef, put in a little water. Don't do that. Drain your beef, pour in your taco seasoning, and stir it up real good. And I'll show you why here in a second. Let's go ahead and let's do it this way. I think it would be easier for you to see. Get a couple more hands here this morning. This is black bean and corn salsa. It does have the black bean and the corn in it. If there's a different kind of salsa that you like better, by all means, go ahead and use it. This happens to go so good with the taco seasoning flavors that's going to be in your meat, that this is mine and my husband's favorite. So this is what we use. And this is why you didn't put water when you were browning your beef, when you added your seasoning mix, because as you can see, this is liquidy. It's about the consistency of spaghetti sauce. It's a salsa, and so we're gonna, hopefully you'll be able to see that a little bit. Just kind of pour it right in there, the whole jar. I'm off to a great start this morning. Okay, let me tell you how much is in here. It's 24 ounces is what I'm using for the recipe that I'm showing you today. Okay. Just go ahead and I did, let me see if I can put this where you can see it better without spilling it. As you can see, I did finally chop up the hamburger today for this, because it is something you don't want to leave in too big of chunks. Get that all mixed in there real good. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to be yummy. Okay. A little bit more. There we go. It's in there thoroughly. And the first thing we're going to be adding to our dish, I chopped up a couple medium onions. Sometimes I'll chop them very heavy, and sometimes I'll chop them a little finer. This is one of the times where I did kind of a mixture. When you have tacos and nachos, I like a little crunch in it. So go ahead and just make a combination of both, and just put, I don't know if I'm going to use all this today. Let's see what it covers. I just want a nice layer on there. Don't want to overdo it. There we go. So this was 2 medium onions, and I've got about 1/3 of one left. So I'm going to stop right there with that. And we're going to place our meat on top of it. Now the reason I'm doing that is because as we begin to bake it off, the meat will slightly penetrate the onion. The flavors will come up and meet in the meat. And also it will help keep it from getting all crunchy being on the top. You don't want to have it get too done while it's on the top of the meat, so put it under there. Oh, I miss the days when my hands worked better. But we'll get there. Okay, now this was, I guess about 2 pounds of meat. I am taking this for a get-together. So, you be the judge what works for your family. You can use less meat without having to change any of the rest of these ingredients. Doesn't hurt a thing. Just this is a very forgiving recipe. You can up the ingredients, down the ingredients, change the ingredients. And those of you that have gotten to know me well by now know that's the way I like to cook. Okay, next comes the jalapenos. This is just a plain jar of jalapeno peppers, and they are already pre-sliced. I used the equivalent of about a 1/2 jar, if you can see that. So what we're going to do, and I did drain them. Pardon me for using my fingers, but it is the best way right now. Hands are clean. Put that on there. Once again, you can add more, you can add less. If you want to put some pepperoncinis in here on top of that, that's good too. Just, make it your own and decorate it with what you like. Now on top of that, for the base cheese, I use the extra sharp cheddar. You can use cheddar, you can use any kind of cheese you like. I will bake it off with this type of cheese. I don't want to put my hands in the cheese after having jalapeno. Yeah, why not? We're going to end up using it anyway. Okay. After I bake it off, when I go to warm it up for this weekend, I will take, sorry, my bracelet, my medical bracelet's banging that dish, so I do apologize for that. I like to use the shredded 5 cheese Mexican cheese. It has a lot of good flavors in there, and so I'll put just a real light coat on that when I go to warm it up. And we almost used it all. Don't want to overdo it because I don't want it running over in my oven. So now before I can turn my oven on, I've got to clear my stove off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put you on pause. We're going to put this in the oven to bake. I'll be baking it at 350 for about a half hour. Keep an eye on it, see how it looks. And then when I get it done, I'll bring you back and we'll see what we've got. Thanks. Hi everybody. I took it out of the oven. One thing I did forget to tell you is that when I was baking it, I used a tin foil, like what you would make a tent. Just cut your piece bigger than, fold it in half so that it doesn't stick all the way down it. I baked it at 350 for 25 minutes. In the last 5 minutes, I took off the foil, and so the cheese, now this being a cheddar cheese, and that's why I like to use a cheddar for a base, it does set up a little bit firmer on the top to where it's not as melted down in there. That'll come later when you warm it back up and you use the other cheese or a different type of cheese, then it gets softer on it. But what this does is put a good coat of cheese on the top to keep your meat from burning, and it's just a good base to go ahead and use. So I really recommend, if you like cheddar cheese, to go ahead and use that on there. And so let's go ahead, and as you can see, this will go a long way toward making your nachos and whatever you decide to do with it. It's just a really good filling. Watch me drop it on the floor. There we go. Now I did that way for a reason, so that you could see. Yeah. This is right here. This would be the refried beans. That is on the bottom. This is on the top. And for a healthy taco or something of that nature, you don't need a lot. So a dish this size to take to a party would be more than adequate. It'll go a long ways. So on that note, I hope you enjoy your weekend. Have a really great Super Bowl Sunday if you follow the games and you're into that. If not, let this be a dish that maybe you could take to enjoy for get-togethers or movie nights, or just, I hope you enjoy it. And I thank you. And once again, if you like the recipe, go ahead and please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the subscribe button and leave me a note down in the comments and let me know what you think of the recipe. I like to hear from you. On that note, have a good weekend. God bless.